Hello everyone, welcome to Bhaskar Software Labs. This is Apache Spark class. My name is Nagbabu. I am your big data trainer. Today in this session, let us see how to create a free Linux instance in Amazon Web Services. First, let us create an account with AWS. Visit to AWS website aws.amazon.com. Click on the button sign into console. To create a new account, enter email ID. Select the radio button. I am a new user and click on this button. In this screen, provide login credentials. The same login credentials, email ID and password you will use every time to enter into AWS. Provide a display name. Retype the same email ID one more time and provide a password. In the next screen, it will ask us to enter contact details. Provide your address details here. Enter the captcha image. Click on this link to read the terms and details of AWS and accept the terms and conditions by selecting this checkbox. And click on create account and continue button. And this is the important stage of account creation. Here we need to provide our credit card or debit card details. And by following the remaining 3 steps, we can create an account easily. I am leaving at this point because I have an account already with the AWS. And let us log into the console by clicking on this button, sign into the console. We are about to create a free Linux instance in Amazon Web Services. Log into AWS console. Provide the login credentials here. Enter your email ID. Select the radio button. I am a returning user. Enter your password. And click sign in button. These are the various services provided by Amazon Web Services. We are going to utilize the service EC2. It stands for Elastic Cloud Computing. Instead of investing money in purchasing hardware, software and implementing them in our local premises, we can create virtual servers under this service EC2, and we can install our applications in the virtual servers, and with the help of a small browser software and having internet connection, we can connect it to these virtual servers and we can work with our applications. Let us create a virtual server for our Linux by using this service EC2. Go into the EC2 dashboard. This is EC2 dashboard. Right now there are no instances currently running. I'm going to create an instance in the region US East. You can find the region information in the URL also. US East 1. It is better to select the region which is near to your current place. I selected US East. Now before going to create instances in the data centers of this region of Amazon Web Services, let us create key pairs. With the help of these key pairs, without providing user ID and password every time, you can connect it to this virtual server. Select the key pair. Right now there are no key pairs. Create a new key pair. If a key pair is already created and available in your local system, you can import that one by using this button. We are going to create a new key pair. Key pair name is my SSH key. You can see a key pair is created. It contains the definition of a private key. At the same time, automatically the definition of the private key is downloaded into your local system as a PEM file. This PEM file contains a private key definition. Keep this private key securely in your local system. Do not share this private key with any other, because with the help of this private key only you are going to connect to the remote virtual server. You can see in the Putty folder I downloaded an application called Putty, so that by using this Putty application I can connect it to the remote servers later. And in the same folder I am maintaining my PEM file. This contains a private key definition. You can look at the private key definition. You can see here it contains a private key definition. Now come back to your AWS console and let us create the instance. Go to instances. Right now there are no instances. I am creating a new instance, launch instance. We have some Linux servers and also we have some Windows servers. And also we have several different flavors of Linux servers: Amazon Linux, Red Hat Linux, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu. I am going to create a server with the Amazon Linux flavor. Click on this select button. You can see here various instance types are there depending upon the size, depending upon number of CPUs you want, depending upon number of amount of memory that you want. You can choose any one of these instance types. But currently there is only one instance type that is under free tier, t2.micro. Select this instance type and click on review and launch button. Again click on this launch button. It is asking for the key pair. Already we created one key pair and automatically it has selected this key pair. Otherwise you can create a new key pair, or you can create the instance without a key pair also. If key pair is not mentioned, then every time if you want to connect to the remote server, you should provide user ID and password. But with the help of key pair we can avoid the entry of user ID password, and it provides a secured connection to our remote server. SSH stands for secured shell. It will provide a secured path between your local system and the remote server, and without user ID and password you can connect it to the remote server. And when you select this key pair here, at the time of launching the instance, within the instance somewhere it will maintain the definition of both the private key and public key. You can see the message here. The selected key pair will be added to the set of keys authorized for this instance. So within this instance the key definitions are going to be maintained, so that with the help of them it will authorize the end users, and the end users can connect it to the servers safely. So accept this checkbox and click the launch instances. Right now it is trying to launch our instance. Click on this view instances. Now you can see it is creating an instance t2.micro. This is the instance type in the region US East 1, and a public IP is provided for this instance. Every time you start and stop this instance, it will create a new public IP. With the help of this public IP, you can connect to this remote server. Select the action, either stop, start and stop. By using this, you can start and stop the instance. If you want to remove the instance permanently, if you don't want this instance in the future, you can terminate the instance. Now currently the instance is running state. That means the end users can connect it to this instance from their local systems. Let us give a name, user-friendly name for this instance. In case of many instances, you can identify this instance with this name. Maximum 255 characters you can provide. I am giving the instance name as EC2 Linux. Save this name. Take a copy of this IP address and keep it in a safe place. In my local system Putty folder, I am keeping my IP address in a notepad file. Notepad file name itself I am maintaining with the IP address, so that I can easily access this IP address. Now we are going to see how to connect it to the remote instance from our local system with the help of an SSH client called Putty. For that, you can download the Putty and keep the applications of the Putty in your local system. And we need to create a Putty session that can contains the details of your remote instance that you created in AWS with the name EC2 Linux. This is the Putty folder where I kept my all Putty applications. There are 3 important Putty applications are there. The first one is Putty. This is used to connect it to the remote terminal of our Linux system. Most of the time in future you are going to use this application, and we should create a Putty session in this application. Without user ID and password to connect it to our Linux box, we need to generate a pair of private and public keys. So with the help of this Puttygen application, we can create a private key and public key combination. And we use that one to create a Putty session in this Putty application later. And one more application that is required is PSFTP. You can use this PSFTP as a secured file transfer protocol. It is a command line interface by which you can easily manage the files of your local system as well as a remote system. You can transfer the files from your remote Linux box into your local Windows system, and from Windows system also you can transfer the files to the local system. Instead of this one, you can use other tools like FileZilla, other FTP applications like FileZilla, WinSCP. There are various FTP applications, but this is the one that we can use very easily. First, let us create a pair of private key and public key file. Open Putty generation application. Load your PEM file that contains private key definition. Select all files. This is our PEM file which is downloaded from AWS. Now save this one as a private key. then it will create both private key and public key combination. If you select save as public key, it will maintain only public key definition, but we need a combination of private key and public key. Click on save private key. You see it is storing with a name ppk with the extension ppk, private public key combination. I am giving the same name, my SSH key. Click on the save button. Now you can see a ppk file is created. Let us go and see the content of this file. You can see it contains public definition, public key definition, and also private key definition. Now we need to configure a Putty session with the help of this ppk file, so that we can connect it to our remote Linux and we can work with our Linux system. Open the Putty application and configure your Linux server. For the session that I am going to create, I am giving a name EC2 Linux box. And we need to provide IP address. Take the IP address of your remote Linux server. Keep it here. And port number is 22. And go to the connection data section, where you can provide username, login username. Normally the root user will be available for Linux systems, but for this EC2 service they have created and they given a user called EC2 user. So with this username we are trying to log on into the remote Linux server. And password, instead of giving the password, we can provide the private and public key combination information here, so that without entering the password and without providing the user ID, we can directly connect it to remote server. It is asking for the private key file here. Browse and select the ppk file that is created. And you need to save this session. Go to the session again and save this session. The session is saved with the name EC2 Linux box. From now onwards, every time if you want to connect it to your Linux box, you can simply load this session. Let us do that one. Open the Putty application. Right now no session is loaded. Select this EC2 Linux box session, load this one, and to connect to this server, click on this open button. If IP address is changing every time when you start and stop your server, your Linux server in AWS, you need to change only this IP address. And every time you change this IP address, save the session. Okay. Now let us connect to the remote server. Accept this yes. It is verifying the fingerprints of private and public keys. Accept that. Now you can see with the EC2 username, it is connected to our remote Linux server. And this is the prompt, Linux prompt. From here onwards, you can give the Linux commands. Example, who am I? So that you can know who is the current user. EC2 user is the current user. You can switch to root user also, but for root user there is no password provided. You can change, you can provide or you can change the password of the root user, but we are not going to work with the root user. All the time we are going to use only EC2 user. Now if you want to see the local files of this folder, currently we are in the EC2 user home folder, home drive. To see the files of this home folder, use the command ls. It's not showing any files here, but there is one folder called .ssh. Let us move into the folder .ssh, security shell, where you can find the file that contains the private key and public key definitions. Let us see what are the files that are available here. You see there is a file authorized keys. Now to see the contents of this file, open the file cat authorized underscore keys. Now you can see it contains the key definition. Probably this is the public key, because only public key is required to maintain in the instances, remote instances. Private key will be maintained with the end user. The same public key you can use in multiple instances. So you can connect it to multiple instances with the same public key and with the help of the private key that is maintained in your local system. That's it. Come back from this .ssh folder. And exit from this Linux server. And also, if you are not going to work with this Linux server anymore, you can stop this server. For today, I am going to stop the server, and again at later time we can start this server. So let us shut down this server. So it is shutting down the server. So this is how we can create virtual servers in the AWS, and with the help of, especially for the Linux servers, with the help of SSH clients like Putty, we can connect and we can work with our applications. We have stopped the server successfully. Now log out from your AWS console for today. That's all. Thanks for watching the video.